I'm getting ready for an author this morning.
Oh.
His name is Stump Connolly, or his real name is Scott Jacobs, and he's followed the campaign trail 8 years ago, 4 years ago, and now he's been to New Hampshire and Iowa, and so he wants to talk about what it's like to set up campaign trails. Talks cheap, let's race.
And here's where she had Caroline Kennedy. If you got a number, I think that might be interesting. Most bookstores don't have to give out numbers hours in advance.
In advance. We had Caroline Kennedy here. We had no idea that the Kennedy aura was still so well felt, so inside all of us. And so we had 1,000.
Caroline especially.
Caroline particularly.
She's the whole nation's daughter.
Exactly, she is. That's a good way to put it. And we had 1,000 books when we ran out.
Wow.
So they had to go buy them.
So we had to go run everywhere where we could find them. I mean, they too were running out everywhere.
Did she stay and sign that many books?
And she stayed and signed that many books.
She did?
Wow.
She came, we had about 350. Part of what threw us with the 1,000 books was that her cousin, Chris Kennedy, who lives in the area, bought 300 and some books for his friends. Well, that took us out of commission. But at the same time, that's what she signed in the back.
It was really something, though. I didn't know it was going to be such a big deal. At my book club, they mentioned you had to get a ticket. So I was on my way to work. I came in at 9:30. I got a ticket. I came back at 2, and I was like #1 in line because she'd been hiding back there signing. So I got to walk right up to her and talk to her, and she was delightful.
Just lovely.
It was just like you were talking to Roberta, and she talked about the weather and her book, and I bought a book.
She is everybody's, she's the country's daughter. Yeah. She has carried on that royalty feeling that we had about the Kennedy, the Camelot feeling. So that was a wonderful, wonderful event for us in December. It came at the right time, boosted our sales for our Christmas sales. We are always looking for more of that, and that's why, as I said before, I go to New York and look to talk to the publishers.
You don't need to go to New York for some of your creativity. I can remember I came by one night, 11 o'clock at night. The store was like ablaze with lights and witches. And people, who was here that night?
Well, nobody was here. That was a Harry Potter night.
Harry Potter night.
Harry Potter, for every book. We did have J.K. Rowling for book number 4. But 5, 6, and 7, we continued to have Harry Potter nights. And we'd be open until midnight when we could distribute the book for the next day. And it was a happening. It's in a big event.
What kind of a crowd shows up for a Harry Potter night?
Between everybody, we had probably 700, 800 people in the store.
The whole street was buzzing.
And I mean, we had lines outside, we had contests, we had a spook house, we had this house, we had a magician, we had face painters, we had everything that goes around with the magic of Harry Potter.
It was magical. You came in if you were grown up and there were little treats and hors d'oeuvres and you didn't feel out of place not having a child with you.
And we had contests, which was really so much fun.
And the staff dressed up in funny costumes.
Right.
But I think some of my favorite events, I can remember when Jimmy Carter came and there were white limousines and Secret Service behind the store.
Yes,
At Lakeside, they were in the grocery store buying, I don't know, nibbles.
When we had Jimmy Carter, it was in January, and we had lines around the block, and everybody was serving hot chocolate and coffee, and it was a community event, and that was nice.
For people who might not know Winnetka, it's a town of only 12,000 people.
That's right, that's right.
This is a very small town.
So this is, and I think Winnetka does get a kick out of that. So many famous people have come through the store.
I think when she had Peter Jennings and Madeleine Albright, those were special. And explain, you brought in
I use what I have used if we have a local event. I either use the Winnetka Community House, I use the schools. I use either Skokie or Washburn. And I also use the Winnetka Congregational Church because their sanctuary is just like a meeting room. It's a comfortable place.
With the
and so that's where we've brought Madeleine Albright, Peter Jennings, Mike
Barnacle?
No, from
someone religious.
No.
From the far right.
And then Jim Wallace, not from the far right. Jim Wallace, come on around here.
Come on around.
Excuse us.
So, no, we have had our big names that, go over there.
Hillary
Political.
Clinton.
No, we didn't have Hillary there.
Oh.
No.
How do people stay on top of your events? How do they learn
We
about
have a
them?
newsletter. Thank you for asking. And we love our newsletter. And it goes out every month except for 3 times a year. We now have reduced the newsletter circulation in January and February. We have a dual month. And March and April, we have a newsletter. And July and August. Otherwise, we have our monthly newsletter that gives you the calendar of events, gives you a letter from me, then three of our staff
Amy?
write about their favorite books. We have a children's section, and it's been coming out so many years, people have gotten used to expecting it, bringing it in for book recommendations, and it's our most useful piece of publicity, and it's still hardcover.
Is it also available online?
It's available online, and I know people do look at it online.
What is the website?
And the
Roberta?
website is www.thebookstall.com. We
Oh,
have a
here's the
middle
newsletter.
fiction.
Here's the children's
And
person.
here's a children's
just
book
one
show,
up.
Amy, and she is one of our strong children's section. Part of our children's section, we have 4 staff members who head up children. Amy runs the book fairs.
Well,
and-
talk about the book fairs, though, because that's important for the schools.
Well, it's a really good way for the schools to get in touch with books. And we have them in the store. The schools all get, it's a fundraiser for them, they get 20%. And they run either 1 or 2 days. And we have a special register set up for them. They have volunteers who come in and help us with the books. And the parents all come in to support their school. And they help the
And
school make some
gradually
money.
through the years, the parents or the people in the village feel like this is their bookstore.
Oh, I think
that by
everybody
the
feels
chance,
that way.
this is part of the charm of the book fairs. We do give them 20% off, as
Right.
Amy said, but we also bring them to be a part of our family.
A lot of people come in, have a cup of coffee or cocoa,
Right.
and see what's new on your book tables.
Right. We hope so. That's part of
Roberta,
the...
you're, please don't take this wrong, but you appear like you've been active for more than 21 years. What was your career before taking
Well,
over the
I've owned the
bookstall?
store 26 years because of my buying it down on the south end of Winnetka. Before that, I worked in several bookstores. I learned the trade, so to speak, from the Glencoe Bookshop, which was 800 square feet. But there were some wonderful people that worked there. Before that, and that was really 1 day, 2 days a week. I raised 4 children in Glencoe, Winnetka first and then Glencoe. And I was a mother and a volunteer,
She was
sat
a
on
paddle
various
enthusiast.
boards.
That's how
I
we
was a
met.
paddle tennis player
We were
because
paddle team
we
members.
were partners together, and just led an active life before I heard about the store was for sale, and the owner wanted me to join her, Eleanor, whom I talked about earlier.